Can anyone catch them, do you think?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, unbelievable. We didn't expect that.
Whether you believe it or not, this is another Arsenal podcast. We are the Away Gunners podcast, bringing you news regarding Arsenal every week. Welcome to the first episode of this Away Gunners podcast. I've got Ellen and Bob from Australia and India. So,
Hi guys.
hi Ellen.
Hi. How are you guys?
Good, I'm good. How are things there? Like, is the corona keeping you busy, or is that fine right now?
It's giving us more time. I think personally for me, so it's actually given a lot of family time, to be very honest. And then it's actually got the family closer. At least we put a break on a lot of things that we were running about before, which is not the case now. So it's actually made me a runner back again. So I've started practicing for marathons again, so which is all a good thing. What about you, Ellen?
Corona has brought a new normal, and it has also made us realize many things which we were saying is not possible because of our work and other commitments. It's possible now even with the work and commitments. We have got a self-realization during that time period that whatever lame reasons we are giving are actually lame reasons, and it can be easily overcome. Corona was an eye-opener on that front, to be honest.
Good. That's
How about you, Vijay? How is the situation there?
So here in Canada, it almost went back to normal. So I guess it's okay. It's been a different experience, but yeah, we've been hanging in there. And following Arsenal has never been so entertaining. Is that a word to use right now? I guess because we have never seen Arsenal like this. Like we have seen other teams like Chelsea, like going through this motion, Man United going through this motion where they change managers, they get people fired and all those things. Arsenal has always been, kind of a calming sea instead of this storm right now. But yeah, it has been a good season. Hopefully
it's changed in a good way, isn't it, Vijay? It is changed in a really good way. Yeah.
That is something that I wanted to ask you before we get on with today's stuff. So with the appointment of Arteta and what everything has happened, do you think this is a positive change, or are you still skeptical, Bob?
See, I think the jury is very much open because it's been a very short while, and then obviously since the time that he has actually joined in the club as a manager, the time is pretty short, and then with all these COVID restrictions and everything coming along the way, probably I would say give it another year for us to really judge how he has done, whether or not his transformations that people are now talking about, is it being really reflected on the squad, and then they are genuinely improving as a team. But if you see glimpses of what has happened in the recent times, there are a lot of indicators to show that it has been a very positive change indeed, and something which is much needed for the club. So when you roll back to the recent or the most, the last few years of, Arsene Wenger's career there as a manager, you could see that the team was much more predictable in terms of its approach towards a game. And you could almost see where the opponents would actually strike or where they would hurt the team. So, when they play Liverpool, for example, you could know that the team would get easily beaten on the counter, and we set ourselves open and inviting trouble for many of the teams to come and attack to us, which is not the game plan. It should not be ideally. It should not be so open-ended for us to let the opponents come and dominate us. So when you look at that and compare that with what Arteta has done recently, is of course changed mentality of some of these things. And you could see that the team dynamics is actually a bit different. So although we're playing from the back, it is still okay for us to actually mix and match the game depending upon the situation it is, which is actually quite an adaptable approach and very practical in the current scheme of things. Mind you, this team has been, I mean, Arsenal as a club has been doing a lot of things which is being done the wrong way in terms of getting the transfers wrong, getting not the right set of players together, and then possibly letting a few good people with regards to talent on and off the pitch leave the club, which is a total turmoil in itself. And of course, the contract situations have not been handled in a good way, as we can see with Mesut Ozil. So I would say in a nutshell that he's actually doing the right things, but I would just hold my words until the end of the season to clearly judge in terms of how better he has done. Yeah.
What about you, Ellen? Do you see the change with like Raul Senelli and everyone leaving, and then there's something coming up? So like all these changes in right now, do you think we are like in a better position than we were like last year around this time? Or do you think like last year it seemed like a little bit more like more stable than right now?
To be honest, last year I felt it was more exciting during that time with Raul bringing Pepe, like a lot more transfers, which we normally don't associate with Arsenal. But in reality, right, that was not a good season, to be honest. But with Arteta, right, even though I'm not excited with these transfers, but like I'm excited for the season because the last few months, right, we have seen like tactically we are defeating teams. We are not one-dimensional anymore. Like for example, Ashley Maitland-Niles, he played on the left side in the FA Cup against Manchester City. And Manchester City, which has like that kind of attacking talent and which does score more than 100 goals like every season, just like a joke. They were like having just one shot on target on the entire match. That was how much good we were tactically on that day. So I'm really excited with all the changes that is happening. And with people like Arteta getting control on transfers now is also good because like as Bob said, we cannot judge Arteta by just those few months, even though he has done a lot of good work. Because the team was not like what he wanted. Like there were a lot of players who were not as tight or he couldn't start them. Now he's trying to get more people whom he wanted and he has more control on transfers. Maybe with Raul leaving, like that is one advantage which Arteta has got. So this year might be the year where we will know exactly what Arteta is capable of, like with the pace whom he wanted, with the way he wants to build. I don't think like last year we were playing many 1-0 games kind of thing because after scoring the first goal we were sitting back. That is, I don't think that is Arteta's style. Arteta will be much more attacking than what we saw. But with the limited resource he had last year, he was trying that. So that is one area where I'm interested how he's going to change this year. Second area, like where maybe you can say I'm a little bit skeptic there. If you see Leeds' transformation during this last first season, it was like you have something called as this last farm where they were crowding. Everybody was playing at every position. They were not able to maintain that tempo at the half of the season. Like beginning they were doing, but when the season got extended, right, like the second half, they were really struggling with the physical fitness and everything. And with COVID and everything last time, there was break. So Arteta didn't face that problem because with him, we are seeing the teams pressing too much. Same as like what Emery started at the beginning of this thing. So we have to see one complete season to find out like how Arteta is adapting to those kind of physical fitness issues, injury issues, and other things. Then only we'll be in a much more better position. But if you ask me whether what stage we were in last year and this year, we are relatively at a very good position with like because I'm more confident this year compared to last year, as well as I'm more excited too.
Cool.
Yeah. So to continue, what we have been talking about. So let's jump into like what is the expectations for this season from Arsenal, like not from just Arteta, because I think like as a club we have made a lot of changes in the last year or so. So so there is going to be like on pitch and on off pitch we are going to get like a lot of expectations of this season. So on pitch, let me throw up some numbers at you, so you could like respond to each of the things. So last year we scored 56 goals in Premier League. That's how much we scored, and we conceded 48 goals and kept 10 clean sheets. So I'm throwing this at you, Bob. So what do you expect from Arsenal this season? Like, do you see us scoring more goals, conceding less goals, more clean sheets, or like what is going to be like? What is your expectations out of it, or what do you see it as realistic out of it?
See, personally, on the goal front, I don't really see any much improvement at all more than the 56 that we scored. Maybe it could go up to 60 or 65, but we are not actually a team like City, who actually scores 100 goals at their will. And we don't have the right people or the right resources to actually take us to that point, unfortunately. So I would still think that the goals could come flowing down. So maybe it could actually reach 60 or beyond this year, if at all everything clicks right with the players, and then with players remain injury free, which is paramount. But
Let me cut you right there. So on the 56 goals, like 22 have been scored by
yeah, of
Aubameyang,
course.
and 10 was by Lacazette. So there is 32, and then we have like 5 from Pepe. So the front three actually scored us like 37 goals out of the 56. So the rest of the team together has come up with like just 20 goals or less.
Yeah, I think
Um,
there's been a huge disconnect between our attacking players and then the forward line, which I think was quite evident because so when we look at the creative play, they seem to be building up the things, but they don't get to involve in the final third, basically in actually scoring the goals, or be more creative in terms of the things to do. um, I felt that's where number 10, a clear number 10, was actually missing, or we've been progressing through without a hole between the striker who could actually chip in to actually score goals. So when you look at Manchester City for as a comparison, Sterling was never a striker. Sterling was just a midfielder who actually just was too good that he started scoring goals by himself. And they have actually just increased their strength in that position by actually signing Ferran Torres, or even you could think of, I can't really think of any other names at the moment, but you have wonderful players there who could actually um, get that spark, or probably start scoring when required. So we don't have
Riyad
definitely
Mahrez,
that.
for example.
Yeah, Mahrez. Yeah, definitely. You could take in Mahrez as well along in that position, and De Bruyne, not to mention him at all. So you have so much creative talent there, right? If one of them doesn't get a goal or two, the other one is in a position to start scoring from there. So that's how they are assembled as a team. And if you look at our forward line, they're really good. I mean, Aubameyang, no doubts about him. Or with Lacazette is a very important player. He actually does a very good link-up play, and then some of the goals that he scored are very, very vital. He's in my opinion, he's actually he's a big game player, and you could trust on him to do well in big games, like Liverpool or City, or playing Chelsea and likes of it. But the huge disconnect that I see in this team is the midfield, especially the attacking players in the midfield, who are not really linking up with the front three, which of course is actually is evident with the lack of goals, or the lack of creativity at their end. That's my opinion. So I don't really see much improvement in terms of the goals, until or unless something drastically changes in the window, that we get a player like Hasem or who could come in and then be the thing, because obviously with the other players, I mean with the other squad, I don't really have much trust in Ozil to do the job week in week out. Yeah, that's a big ask for him.
So yeah, so continuing with like what Bob has mentioned, Ellen, like I would like to ask you one more question. Like, so from the defender's perspective, we scored close to 10 goals, which means like it's mostly from the set pieces. And like apart from that, Suarez strike and Hector Bellerin dancing his way through the midfield, like we get most of those from the set pieces, right? And we also know that we have signed a new set piece specialist. So is that some region that you expect some more goals from? Because there is a lack of goals from the midfield, as Bob has mentioned. So do you see us compensating there with like more set pieces, more attacking set pieces in particular?
Definitely, Vijay. Like one more thing I want to add here with regards to set pieces. See, during Emery's tenure, right? Like tenure, like we can say that we were weak on many occasions, like me making him sorted as attacking midfielder, which is not. But one area where he improved the team dramatically is like both defending as well as attacking in set pieces. That was one good area in Emery's complete period. And we have actually improved a lot, both in defending and attacking in set pieces. Because in the past, set pieces for us was just joke. We will just throw crosses, nobody will be there, and like it will be like a counter for other team, or it will go away. And when they get set pieces, we'll always be worried it should not be a goal. That was the attitude we were having. That got changed slowly from Emery's period, and it has improved now also. And we have got some few people now who are good at like set pieces too, even while delivering as well as like while scoring goals. So I expect that to increase drastically a little bit. And one other area where we can clearly see improvement even in midfield is like we have got Willian this year, who's a proven goal scorer. Like, see, he might not score like huge 15 or 20, but he'll give you that solid 10 goals per season, or he will make sure that you get a lot of goals in the forward line. I see him at the moment as number 10 for us because we don't have anybody else, as Bob rightly pointed out. And one other thing which I can add as a value to what Bob said, if you remember, there was a period where we didn't start Xhaka because of the internal issues we were having with him. And that was the time where the team was struggling a lot. We had to depend on a player like Xhaka, like to move it from defense to attack, which clearly meant like we were lacking a lot in midfield. Like so, one or two players cannot fix that. Like say, getting a Willian will not fix that problem. All of us, you need somebody like strong players like Horror or like even the Partey, like because they have to drive it from the defense to midfield, and then only your midfield will excel. So until that is happening, right, I don't expect this year also too much goals from our midfield, except for Willian, who will add some additional goals. But I will also agree with Bob, and like we will be around that 60 goals mark only. But where I think we'll improve is like we will not concede 48 like last year. I expect it to be lot lesser than that, somewhere around 35 to 40. So that's my opinion on those stats, whatever you're doing. And definitely our defenders will score more this year too.
Interesting, because I feel that like I feel different from I think both of you, because I feel like we could score more goals, especially with Pepe integrated right now. Like, I mean, he's our like record signing for all sakes from attacking point of view, and he scored what did he score?
5 goals. Yeah.
Yeah, 5 goals. Yeah, he scored 5 goals and I think 6 assists. And Saka, who has been our star last year, he didn't actually perform as a star in goals in Premier League. He was more like an assist maker in Premier League. I think he scored more goals in the Europa. So I see both of them chipping in with more goals. So I see more goals than the 60 goals or thereabout that you guys have been. Maybe I'm too liberal with that. Like maybe Aubameyang's return will not be as good as last year. I don't know, but I for a reason I think like we would be somewhere on the 70s. Like we would be a high scoring team. At least I'm hoping, I guess. But yeah, that is my take on the goals that we are expecting from the team. So quickly, let's just jump onto the other major issue that we had. We had 5 red cards, and we know who those 5 red cards came from. So yeah.
Luis.
Hey, Luis, no guesses finding that out.
Yeah. Maybe Ellen, what do you think right there? Like 5 red cards. Do you see us doing that? Because like there has been changes to what Arteta has done, but the most like I mean, some of the red cards came in his regime too. Right? Some of the major ones, like the Chelsea one, like came in when Arteta is here too, and he has changed the system and everything. But we have got a lot of red cards. So because I think that ultimately decided a lot of games for us, forced us into some things that we were not good at. Because obviously, right now we are not a team that can do a lot of things, like that can change tactics on the fly. So yeah, Ellen, you.
Okay. My thoughts on that is like there will be a big improvement on that. Like I'll say why also. See, if we take our defenders last year, right, like even Socrates or like Mustafia, they were all not fast movers. With the kind of game we were playing, right, like when one defender goes up and like there's a through ball or there's a like overlapping ball, like the other defender goes and try to defend, and most of the time the wrong tackle and like concede that card or like being the last man or like concede a dangerous free kick or this thing. With youngsters as defenders now, right, like say Saliba and others, like we should have like little bit more flexibility in our physicality. So I don't expect like that to happen. As well as if you see, right, once we change to 3-man strategy from that 4-4-2, like or like 4 to the 4-man defense, like our red cards or the cards got reduced much. Because like now we had one more additional defender to defend like for these kind of balls. So there was some improvement happening, and like the players whatever we have got, right, I expect them not to make some silly mistakes which David or Socrates were making last year. So I see there will be an improvement in that area. What I will also see more this season is like we will do some tactical fouls going forward. We will not make it allowed to go to this area. Like at the offline itself, somebody will do the tackle and get a yellow card for the team. So that also I expect Arteta to bring as a practice to our team, because in the past we doesn't do that. We allow the player to run it. Like we will stop play now, like by doing a tactical foul, like going forward. That's why I believe like there will be a drop in that. But unless we remove that drop, right, like this will again be a tough season if we are not going to do that.
I see
Bob
Bob smiling.
agrees with me.
Bob smiling.
So my thing is pretty simple, right? So previously when Flamini used to play for us, every time when he comes back on the pitch, I'll immediately go to the betting sites to actually bet for the next man to be yellow carded as Flamini, right? When he comes onto the pitch, and to be perfectly honest, I feel the same way for David Luiz. The man is full of entertainment. So you could never know what he is going to do next. Maybe you would do a Rabona kick to actually score a wonder goal, or you could actually do just a stupid thing to get himself carded. So with him, I won't really know if at all there would be any improvement or anything as such, which is slightly contradicting from what Ellen has been mentioning. But yeah, I think that's what I think of. Yeah.
Bob, just to add one thing here, I don't expect Luis to be the main center forward this year.
No, of course not. So I think it would be, so Luis was more extended for a year to actually, help and, let the youngsters adapt to this game. And Luis too knows that, he's much more on the decline at the moment with age not at his side. So I expect him just to be on a mentor on the sidelines with all these guys, and then possibly help them get adapted to the league and then the games here in England.
I'm putting an alarming thought right there. Like, what if David Luiz joins as a coaching person at Arsenal?
Yeah, no, I think with all the things that he's been doing, there's been a lot of background praises on what how David Luiz is actually helping setting up the young kids and things. So I mean, with all these things happening, we don't really know what happens in the training pitch, isn't it? So I wouldn't be surprised if at all Arsenal offers him a chance to actually take up one of those coaching roles there. Yeah.
Will he be the Steve Ball to Arsene Wenger like that, like to Arteta, like David Lewis to Arteta? Like, do you see that happening?
That's actually a big ask at the moment. I don't think even David Luiz would have been having thoughts around that. So, but yeah, I think um, if he if he actually applies his mind and thoughts well, so I mean, I would just look at the David Luiz who actually came back to Chelsea, and then he was having an altogether a different game, and then he was actually performing better every week as it went on when you compare to his first stint there. So if I were to look up for an David Luiz that I would want at Arsenal, it would be at the second stint, especially the first or the second season. Once after he came back, that was the season that they won the Premier League under Conte. So I think that would be the David Luiz that I would look out for. And he was phenomenal every week. His positioning was good, and then he was spotless in all the things that he was doing. So if he actually gets to perform exactly the way that he did there under Conte, then we could see a genuine improvement in terms of our team as a whole. Yeah.
Okay. That's a positive twist to David Lewis saga. So yeah, also regarding like the team's position, like last year we were eighth. Like all our friends from other clubs keep pointing out, we finished eighth last season. So like, where do you guys see that we finished this season? Like, what do you expect, and what do you know realistically that this is going to be our place? Like, if you think about all the other teams and you see Everton making all those signings, you see uh, Manchester United on the rise, you see Chelsea making all those signings in and around. So where do you see Arsenal finishing this season?
Okay, I'll go first. I'll say probably my realistic expectation for the season is within the top six. Um, Although my opinion as a fan differs to that, I think genuinely we have improved on a lot of things that we were, and I feel definitely that this season we probably would be able to get better on some of these lower rivals that we have in terms of Wolves or Leicester or Sheffield. We would obviously be getting better to all of them, but I still feel it would be a tough ask for us to get into the top four because this team, although we're trying to do the right things at the moment, it still takes a season, I believe, for the team to completely gel in. Mind you, we've actually we brought in two completely new defenders to the league there. It could be completely unknowns, they could go on to do really a phenomenal job in their first seasons there and then get us to, a defensively solid position. But it's completely unfair to expect such a lot of things from those young kids there, especially coming from different leagues as such. So with all those things in mind, and then obviously with all the fitness and injuries and players availability and transfer things going around, I think probably I would stick to a realistic expectation of a top six. And if he goes on to achieve that, I think that would be a very decent goal to have achieved within this time. That's in
So
terms of the Premier League, but yeah, I'll talk about the other things maybe at the point. it comes along.
Yeah, Ellen, do you see us finishing in top six, or you're asking us to go for like the title, challenging
No,
Liverpool and City?
definitely not the title. Definitely not the title. See, as a fan, like I would expect us to finish in top four, like behind, not in the same order, like City, Liverpool, and Chelsea. Like Chelsea is really strong this season, according to me. So fourth, but like what
Do
I
you
feel
think Super
realistically we'll
Frank would be
achieve is
able?
like fifth.
Do you think Super Frank would be able to bring that out of the like super money rich Chelsea this season?
No, the only reason I don't expect them to like win the season is because they have like Frank as their coach. Like that is the only reason I don't expect them to win it, because with the team they have formed this year, they can even compete for the title. But I don't think they will do that because of the Super Frank.
See, if
Like
you
and
talk, sorry to cut you off there. So if you talk purely on the transfer front, we actually won the transfer front last summer. So and people were saying just for the squad that we had assembled that we would go on to challenge Liverpool or City for the title, but we never went on to do so, not even close. So
But we had Emery.
yeah, we had Emery, but yeah, I think that
the
is all
same with
what
Frank
we.
now.
Yeah, so Chelsea have got in good players. Yes, agreed, but they have not adapted together as a team so far. So, and that is where the brilliance of the coach would come into play. And I won't actually trust these players to really. I mean, except for the known ones, Chilwell has been performing consistently at Leicester for long. So maybe he could get adapted very quickly, and then he could start performing to the levels that they're looking for. But Werner and so if you look at Havertz, for example, they're all amazing players, but it will take them time to get adapted into the league, into the system, and then into the thick and fast of the games that they are coming through. So yeah, no, Chelsea. No, I probably would just treat them as a top four contender, but nothing more.
Ellen, so top four
Nice
for
ball.
sure.
Yeah, I'll continue.
Top four for
No.
sure.
That's what I said. Like that is what as a fan I want. I expect us to finish fifth. Not the top four. We'll try for the top four, but we'll finish fifth. Maybe if we get a creative player like in the attacking front, right, we might have a shot at top four. But until we get that right, like we don't have a chance for top four. Other match we can finish fifth.
Okay. Keeping it realistic. That's good. That's interesting. So yeah, I think the expectations regarding trophies is something that is more exciting for us, because obviously we won the most important competition of all, FA Cup, and the second most important competition of all, the Community Shield. Or yeah. So do you see us doing well in like Europa League and FA Cup and Carling Cup? We have not been good at the, what is that, Carabao Cup right now? Yeah. Carabao Cup. Yeah, we have not been good at that. So where do you see us? Like, are you putting us down for another FA Cup, Carabao Cup, Europa Cup? Like, are you putting us down there for the treble right there? Or
Not exactly, not a trouble. I would say like, see, we will fail this time also in Carabao Cup. The reason being like with the COVID and the season starting late, right? Till December, you have like every midweek almost a match once the Europe and Carabao Cup starts. So I don't expect us to have our strong players playing that cup. So it will be like our youngsters playing there, and we will falter in the knockouts in that. Maybe maximum we'll reach quarterfinals, not beyond that. With respect to Europa Liga, like as a fan, I want us to focus on that because top four is difficult for us. So the easier route for us to go to Champions League is Europa League. And with Arteta showing that he's tactically good, we have a chance to like do well in Europa League. So that's what my expectation will be. Like I'm okay with us like not winning the FA Cup this year, but like to focus more on the Europa League and try to win that.
See, I think in my opinion, most of the teams don't prepare themselves to win a cup game or a cup-based tournament because as it comes along. So we just hope so that we get a decent group to come out of in the first place, and then we get some decent opponents to go all the way, and then only you can start believing as the team comes to a quarterfinal stage or a semi-final stage. That's when you really put more focus into the team and then help them win the game and then the trophy. So one of the things Arteta had a very clear vision on in his first season in charge is the fact that Premier League, or I mean even the top four, was actually almost out of reach when he joined in, and it made the situation worse with all these COVID stoppings and out of form and things. So he had a very clear vision, at least to guide them on these cup games and then help them win those games as such. And that was his sole focus, as the way that I saw it. It worked in its favor because the games that he played, they didn't have any two-legged affair, so it was not. It was not adding any further games to it, and then as well the fact that if you plan and prepare for the 90 minutes and then try and make sure that it works on the team, then you can progress to the next round and then for the trophy. So Europa League, I'll keep my jury open until we crossed round of 16, because mind you, it was under Arteta that we lost against Olympiacos. Although it was a team which was created and owned by Emery until that point in time, the inevitable loss against Olympiacos happened under Arteta's regime. So it's touch and go for a cup game, and realistically, I don't think we are going to be challenging for a 38 game title, which will be the ultimate thing for any fan to expect for. So Arsenal are not at that point in time so far. And I don't think they would be able to do so in the current season. Carabao Cup, again, the jury is very much open, because if you look at the fixtures, our first game is against Leicester away at their place at the King Power Stadium on September 12th. So that's the sort of games that you could expect, or that's coming up for Arsenal, and every step to progress further is a battle. And Leicester,
the Arsenal luck, the Arsenal luck in all the draws, picking up Bayern Munich quite consistently in CL, picking up, that I can see as picking up like Leicester in the first round. Yeah, that's expected out of Arsenal.
Leicester away, I should stress.
Yes. Also one more question to both of you regarding the COVID. Because of COVID, we have not had crowds, and I feel that has helped Arsenal a lot than other teams, where Arteta has been really vocal on the sidelines. He was able to get things moving in those drinks break, even when we had a sluggish starts in most of the games. So, and there has been talks about letting partial crowds return to the stadium. So I'll point this out to you, Bob, because you have been there. You have seen the crowd's impact on players and everything. Would that change some of the stuff that you have told about? Would that change the top six? Would that change the player progression? Do you think?
See, I think in most of the teams, almost every team who plays football, they expect to play their game in front of their home crowds, because that drives them. And I've been lucky enough to watch a few games there at the Emirates Stadium, and the game that I remember the most is the North London Derby, where we are actually trailing 1-0 almost towards the half time when Adebayor got red carded, and the red card was actually just driven by the crowd. Santi Cazorla was obviously fouled, but not to the level that she'd actually warrant a red card. It was a stats-up challenge, but the end, the point is the crowds actually drove the team that day, and I've actually seen that happen so many times in the past, where they actually just build up the momentum and then make sure that the players get into their head that they need to start, they have the game in their hands to start trying playing through for a win. So although Arteta has been able to pass on his messages more clearly, he should be more realistic, and he should accept the fact that the fans are going to come along. Maybe not for next 6 months, but after that, he definitely should start to see fans coming around, and he should still be in a position to pass out messages to the team. In my opinion, I would just think that should help improve the team's morale in terms of trying to be more winnable. But yeah, not on the other side. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so Ellen, I want you to weigh in, because I expect you to be the skeptic here.
No, I am not going to go away from what Bob has said. I'll bring a different viewpoint though altogether completely, compared to what he said. I also expect the crowd to help the team in a very big way. See, one of the rules which is not going to happen in this season is there is no going to be any drinks break. During the COVID restart, because of the summer, there was drinks break. And if you see the pattern in Arteta's all the games that he managed, right, there will be a period, say, mostly after the second half starting, the 45 to 65 minutes is the period where the team will go down. And then during the drinks break, Arteta will pep them up and actually perform to that level. Now, with this drinks break not being available, right, the team needs to know when they are performing bad. And the crowd does that very well. When they are performing continuously bad, right, the booze will make sure players realize they are not performing to the expectation. And when we are down at the time, right, they need some moral boosting effort, which Arteta cannot give because of lack of drinks break. The crowd will give you that effort, which Bob has, experienced in the ground itself. So that one, right, will actually help the team, whether they're performing good or bad. And Arteta, without these things, they cannot control much in the sideline except for the half-time break. So definitely crowd coming will help us out. But the thing here is there are some away games where it will help the away game too. For example, if you go to Leeds now, Leeds crowd is one of the good crowd supporting for their team, whatever happens. So that kind of thing will go against us also. But that will make our players go or learn things. With a lot of youngsters we are having now, right? Those are the things which will help the youngsters to grow up, to be more stress-free or pressure-free in crunch games when they go to that later half of the year.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very good point, Ellen. That's a really good point. One place which as an opponent I hate going is the Kop. The crowds just drive you crazy there. So there is nothing else that you could think of. It's one of the most intimidating places to go in England as an opponent, because the crowds is just another player. You can just see them on the sideline. They will be together and they'll be really very vocal in their support. So for us to play, I think we are playing Liverpool away very quickly in the league. So I think it's an advantage in our perspective. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
That's on that. You can go ahead, Peter.
No. Go. Yeah.
No, I was just trying to say Liverpool's form before COVID and after COVID. Without those crowd, right, they were continuously losing after the restart. That shows how much the crowd will benefit the team.
I'm not sure on that, because I also think that they have gone into this honeymoon period where they are we have won the thing. There's nothing more for us to do right there. True. Yeah, so I also think that. And talking about players, I think we'll have a look at the team that we have, and we can hope what is going to happen with the squad and stuff. So let's start with the obvious problematic position, which is the goalkeepers. Actually, it's a good problem to have, with the two that we have in Leno and Martinez performing well. So I'm not going to ask you to put down a number one, but I would ask you if are you ready to sell one of them? There has been too many talks on media, on every podcast about this, but just your point of view, who would you keep, Leno or Martinez? If you can sell one and keep one. Ellen, at you.
Okay. For a long time thing when we see, right, like I will be happy to sell Emilio Martinez because he will get us more money than Leno at the moment. One is cost wise. Second is where I see Emilio Martinez is an asset to us is his leadership quality. Whereas if you see Leno in the first half of the season, he was super goalie at that time, and because of him only we were able to do a lot of points, get a lot of points. He saved us a lot of points. So it was not both of them are bad, but I feel he's not that good at leadership compared to Emilio. But with the youngsters coming, I even see Rob Holding as a leader, though after ACL he's not performing to the same level, but I see him as a leader. So with one of our defenders becoming a leader, right, I don't think we need that much of leadership from goalkeeper. So in other aspects wise, I see Leno is little bit better than Martinez. So my choice, if it has to be one out of these two people, it has to be Leno. But I'll start Martinez in the beginning of the season.
So
yes,
Bob,
just for him to sign the contract, Ellen, make him get the contract signed.
Not for that. No, not for that. All these defenders, right? They are young and they are playing for the first time with us. So they need a leader from the keeper at the beginning of the season at least. So for that reason only, I will say Emilio Martinez will start. Nothing to relate with contract.
Well,
if you're going to sell him, no point in getting a contract.
So I think if I'm being very realistic, I think the prediction would have been much more easier had it been Arsene Wenger or Emery, because we all know who they would possibly opt for. But with Arteta, it makes it a bit interesting. I'm inclined to say Leno, but I won't be surprised if in case Martinez actually starts in at Fulham. Having said that, I would agree with Ellen that we probably would need to cash it on Emiliano. The reason being he is actually a good value. Then we can try and convince the Brentford's keeper Raya to come and join us as a second choice. It would be pretty tough for us to really expect both of them, Martinez and Leno, to be both patient at the club while one of them would just be on the goal. So if in case we are able to get 20 million out of a goalkeeper, then it's a lot of money. So I would probably think that we should be able to get the money and then invest it properly into a second goalie. In my opinion, I still feel, so the other goalie that we have as a third choice, Danny Lev, he is as well amazingly good. He's 6 feet 7 inches, so he's taller than any of our goalkeepers there. So I don't even think if we had to keep him as a backup for a game or two until we got another goalkeeper in, it would not still be a bad choice. Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty Leno in the basket for the goalkeeper from both of you. I'm into this.
Vijay, just before you go in, sorry for disturbing you. Bob, since you said about the third goalie, I'm just asking you for your opinion because you know more about him. Is it possible for him to be a backup goalie this year and we invest that money, say, in midfield, where we lack huge in our team? We use this Emilio's money in midfield and have that goalie as a backup goalie. Is it possible?
That would be
because I don't know much about him.
No, I think it is possible, but it would be a huge risk because it could come out well. It could come out well, or it could go disastrous. And if it goes disastrous, where do we look to? We don't have anywhere to go to. So that's the thing. The same thing possibly happened at AC Milan when Gigi Donnarumma came in, but the goalkeeper that they had, Danny Lopez, was there. He was actually a very good goalkeeper. And once when he started performing really bad, that they actually turned to Gigi Donnarumma. The thing with Ilev is you could trust on to do well, but if at all, for example, he has actually been put in when one of the primary goalies is injured, that would be a disastrous situation for the young lad to be in, because he would be under a lot of pressure to do well every week, and B, it would be unrealistic for us to expect him to perform at the levels that we want him to. Yeah. So it's a 50-50 sort of a thing.
Okay. Thanks, Bob. Thanks because of for allowing me to ask that question.
No, all good, buddy.
Yeah, so I want to skip the most problematic positions right there, like with the CBs and mids, and jump into the forwards for a minute before we can come back to the mids and the CBs. So regarding the forwards, we currently have Aubameyang, who's going to be the number one name on the team sheet. As far as I am concerned, there is like no one else that goes above him. Then we have Lacazette, Willian, whom we have signed very recently, Pepe, who's our record signing, and we also have like Reece Nelson, Eddie, and Martinelli. So Martinelli is out of the question because I think he's out till Jan next year, and I think I'm not sure even after Jan, like how long will it take for him to recover and join the team. It will be longer is what I assume. So I don't think we can consider him to be a part of like this season much. So apart from him, having Lacazette and Eddie as our center forwards, and Auba, Pepe, and Willian as our choices. Do you think we are okay over there, or do you think we can afford to lose Laka out? Because there is a lot of talk about people saying that wanting Auba to play through the center, which I'm not a fan of. I think Auba is really good at what he's doing right now, and taking him away from there is creating a hole that is not needed to be created right there. So what's your thought on that, Bob?
See, I think even if you ask this question to Auba himself, would he want to actually play from the center? He would probably say no. I would think so, because he prefers to play on the left and then try and cut into games. That's how effective he is. There's been a lot of games that he actually played through the center, and since that didn't work during the game, that he actually switched out to go back to the left position of his choice. So you could expect him to be more creative and more, lethal when he's on the left, and then, cutting inside to score goals, definitely. Like I said, it would be a big hole to fill, in my opinion, if at all he chooses to leave, or if we decide to cash it on him, because like I said, is actually, when it comes to the front three, he is actually a very key fulcrum who actually holds up the play, and he actually creates the spaces for the other two to cut in and then, try and score goals. Even the
Firmino role.
Sorry?
The Firmino role. Do you see him playing the Firmino role?
Firmino, definitely. Yeah, you could draw comparisons to Firmino, and the way that...
No, I would say more of Benzema than Firmino.
Benzema.
Okay. More of Benzema.
I was going to say...
Ronaldo and everybody, Di Maria, everybody were playing.
Yeah. Now, I was going to even quote a classic example of Giroud, especially when you compare his performances at the 2018 World Cup. He scored 0 goals, but he was there on the team sheet in all the games until the last minute or so. The point is, I think he actually he can draw the defenders to him to make sure that the spaces get created to others for them to score, or do some sort of a creativity there. That is something which, like I said, can actually bring in. And like I said, is very much mobile. And if at all we were to lose him, I would want that money to be quickly reinvested into a very good forward and not take in Eddie Nketiah or Martinelli as one of those, strikers at our period, because, I think we need three proper strikers at least for us to go through till the end of the season. Mind you, we've got lots of games with the cup games, and then with Europa League and all those sort of things. So we need fresh set of legs, almost to be performed at every 90 minutes, or every week in, week out, possibly a game or two each week. So if at all like I said, is going to be sold, um, I would not go with the opinion of having to replace him internally with, say, Reece Nelson or even Eddie Nketiah. That would be a huge ask for anybody to have, to come in and then fill in. Even Martinelli, for example, he was actually good, but that, he's actually a kid, and obviously he can't be carrying the team around for like really long time. Lacazette has got a very, very, very good understanding with Aubameyang, as we all know. And that would be a huge miss if at all he is to be sold. My wish list, maybe I would be a weirdo to think that, if at all we're going to be selling Lacazette, then I would want him to be replaced by Luis Suarez, but he would not choose to come there. I don't know, or maybe he's already chosen to accept Juventus already. But yeah, it would be a huge miss if at all we're going to be letting Lacazette leave. Yeah.
Ellen, so let me ask you like a tangent kind of on this. So do you see Willian as a forward, or do you see Willian as a midfielder? And do you see Saka as a forward, or do you see Saka as a midfielder?
Both of them I see as midfielders only, not as forwards. See, your forward should be like something special. So for example, when we had that very worst season with RVP as our striker, we know like if at all we could get a single pass to RVP, it will be a goal. We need such kinds of forwards. See, why Auba doesn't play in center is also because of the same reason. He's not that effective, or he's not that clinical as, say, an RVP or others. He has to come from the wing to get that extra space so that he is able to score those goals. That is why like Auba will also fail. And regarding that Lacazette thing, right? Like I'll put a simple question. I was one of the guys who initially thought like selling Lacazette, if we could strengthen somebody in the midfield, will help us out. But when I thought a little bit deeper, right, I felt that was a very stupid decision. Because once Lacazette go, you have only one striker this year in Eddie Nketiah. Martinelli is out of the entire season almost. Like, even if he comes in February, March, he might not be able to perform big immediately. What happens to Nketiah if he gets injured or other? That will put us into a big trouble. We will not be playing without any strikers, and in the past, we have seen when we had midfielders as strikers like Gervinho, Ashravin, and everybody, we have failed those seasons really bad.
We'll play David Luiz as a striker. We'll play David Luiz as a striker and get like 20 goals from him.
That's a good thing to say. But like, I want to put one more thing here. Like, say, definitely we need Lacazette, and if we are selling Lacazette, as Bob said, like we need an equally good striker to be replaced. Suarez might not be able to join us, but at least somebody like Lacazette. And if we are not going to have Lacazette, right, like it will again reduce our number of goals this year. Because with Eddie Nketiah, right, like you have seen Auba not that effective compared to when he was Lacazette, because Lacazette pulls the defenders and Auba was scoring. Now there's another issue which we haven't talked about, like with respect to forwards. Will Pepe start the match for us? Because we always play 3-4-3 at the moment, or even if it's going to be a 4-3-3. With Auba on the left, he won't be playing at the center. It'll be either Nketiah or like Lacazette in the center, and Willian most probably will be right, unless we change the formation to have Willian as like number 10. But like Willian will be most probably in right. So where does you see Pepe going to play in the forward lineup? That's a question I'm opening to both you and Bob, because that is again like a question now we have in our team.
I think
Pepe is our like record signing, and like he cannot be in bench.
Yeah, I think, but I also think that Pepe had improved a lot towards the end of the season, especially if you consider the finals. that was Pepe's best performance for me. Like he was really good in that game. Like he bossed the whole side. He took on players. He created a lot of nuisance right there. So if you would ask me, like it will be like Willian would be kind of a floater between Auba and Pepe. Like whoever needs to be pulled out, because we cannot have another season where Auba plays 90 minutes for 38 games. That's not going to happen because Auba's getting older. So we need to manage his time too. And last year we barely had any kind of bench. So I think Willian would be from bench if there is no number 10 role for him. I would prefer Pepe to start because he's young. He should learn more, and he's a long-term prospect when you compare him to Willian. Willian is like in his 30s, in his like end of his career kind of thing. So I'll keep Willian as an insurance and have Pepe as a start. But saying that, I don't think Pepe is gonna start for the first few matches at least, because of all the training pitches that we have seen. I've seen only like Willian in there being really integrated into the team. So I think it's going to be like Pepe coming in during the first few games for Willian as a sub, and later part of the season I see Pepe starting and Willian being the sub, or Willian playing a different role. So that is my view on Pepe, Willian, Oba. Yeah. So yeah, now let's get to the mids, which is going to be a big problem. I know, like we are talking about signings and stuff, but I'm not sure that we should be talking about signings right now because we don't have anything right now. We have quite a lot of mids. We have the captain, leader, and yeah, in Granit Xhaka, who has been really instrumental. Although we had those crazy moments with him. We also have El Neni Pack, Gunduzi, Joe Willock, Torreira, whom we don't know if he's going to stay. I don't think so. We also re-signed Ceballos, and if we consider Saka as midfielder, Saka and Ozil.
Willian.
Willian, if you think him as a midfielder, yes. So that's all of them. So you think...
And you forgot the man with the big paycheck.
Ozil, yeah. Yeah, he's still there. He's still there, sitting in his room, like tweeting, Instagramming.
He played a friendly. No, he played a friendly. He played a friendly, right?
Yeah, there has been talks. I'm not sure, like whether he would still be playing or like, because that's okay. If we are going to start in Ozil, I have like a lot of questions there and a lot of questions there basically. So the thing is, like, Ozil started almost every game when Arteta came in, and then COVID happened. COVID break happens, and then there is resumption. He has not even played 1 minute of the game, not even from the bench, nothing at all. So there has been talks about like it being a decision from up, that they don't want him to play. There has been talks that Arteta doesn't fancy him. There has been talks that the system doesn't suit him. Mind you, Ozil's like 33. So he's not getting younger. He's not getting faster. What do we do with him? What do we do with him? Like, we cannot offload him. He's on a massive wage, which no one else is ready to offer. So what do we do with him? Do we pay him? Do we play him? It's like one of those bail situations that we got in our hand. So, yeah.
I think in the recent reports that has been coming out in the media, it more looks like Arteta is resigned to the fact that Ozil will definitely not be leaving this window. I mean, with all these bids coming in from Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and every other places, there's not been any interest which has actually built up. goes on to say that, possibly nothing is going to happen with him. So Arteta is just making himself prepared for the situation that Ozil is going to be sticking around for the rest of the year. And, you could, since that he is getting paid after all, he probably would think and make some use of him. I don't know if that would actually turn effective or not. At least he would make some use of him and help him out or help the team out in games that they need the help. Yeah.
My viewpoint on Ozil's thing is,
yeah, that's a short point. Yeah, go ahead,
Ellen.
Ellen. Go ahead. Yeah, that's a
My
short
viewpoint
point.
on Ozil is like we have to definitely play him, but like we have to use him smart. That's what I feel. Like, see, when we start the season, it will definitely be a back three. It will slowly later on changes to maybe a back four. We have to use Ozil in like the Premier League only when we move to a back four and he can do an attacking creative role. Until that, right, like maybe that might take even half the season, but until that, right, as you rightly said, right, Pepe is needed for Premier League and Willian can come as a sub. So both Willian and Ozil, right, can play in the cup games and Europa games. They both can be like a leader. Like say in the cup games, you don't have much talent coming from the other end, or many teams will play with their youngsters. There, Ozil can play, and with like every 3 days you have one game, that will actually give rest to our actual midfielders who will be needed in those important Premier League games. So Ozil can be effectively used there, and Willian can be like a leader there too, to marshal the complete team. So that way, right, we can compete in those games also, and we can effectively use Ozil. I don't expect him to be an force in Premier League until we go to a back four, and that's why if he's interested.
Yeah, that is a wishful thinking to like play Ozil, but hope that his back pain doesn't come back to haunt him, like which elusively happens whenever we need him. Like he gets this back pain, this fever, and all those things. But yeah, the quality of the player that we cannot question until at least till what we have seen him. The other midfielder that I wanted to touch on is there are a couple more. Like the one that I wanted to touch on is Guendouzi. I don't know. I'm not a fan of the kid. I'm not a fan of his attitude. I'm not a fan of what he does on the pitch. I don't see him as a one that is ready right now to step into the team. But and his attitude doesn't help either. But I don't see him going anywhere because there is only like some rumors about PSG wanting him, that we have offered him in exchange for some players, but no one really wants him. So what do you see there happening? Do we send him out on loan, or do we play him, or do we keep him for cup games? What do we do with the whole situation? Ellen, I'll start off with you.
Okay, for me, right, like if you see Arsene Wenger's period, discipline was one of the things. You remember like why we sold Chesney, even though he was really good, like because of some attitude issues. So I don't like see. I'm okay with players with less talent as long as they have attitude. So a big no from my side also for Guendouzi. Worst case, if nobody is ready to sell him, we have to find a way to loan him out, even for a championship side or anything. Because he's not going to be quiet like the heroes coming next year, and he being part of France, he won't be like quiet. So he will definitely trouble us if he is not loaned or like not sold to anybody. So we'll have to play him like if he's in the team. So, but I don't want that to happen. Like with an attitude issue which he's having. Yes, he's an youngster. He might learn in the future, but at the moment, I don't want him to be part of my team.
I think you guys pretty much nailed up the thing, so there has to be a control brought in, and there has to be a line beyond which any player shouldn't really cross. Guendouzi looks like whatever that we are reading in the media, has actually crossed that line more than once, I believe, and he's not ready to apologize to the boss, which is a lack of respect. We got to be a bit stubborn here because the kid is not on high wages, just like how we are facing with Ozil, and we have to make sure that he realizes that his place in the Euro 2020 squad is at stake if at all he actually carries on with his behavior. Yeah, obviously from what I'm reading through in the media outlets, I can't really see any takers for him just yet. but there is still a month to go in the transfer window, and things could just rapidly change. So we just hope for something to happen. He's got a good talent to fit in a big club, and I feel if he's given the right coaching, and then if he's got given the right guidance, then possibly he could actually come out well, sort of manage his egoistic issues in a positive way, and then try and come out well. So, but yeah, I think with Arsenal, it's actually going to a point of no return for him. He's not ready to apologize, which is a big, massive letdown. Because you would expect people of any age, let alone the fact that he's just a 22-year-old, to come back and apologize for the actions. Even if you look at the worst things to happen in the recent past, Yaya Toure was almost at a point of no return with Pep Guardiola, and then they still sorted out their differences, and he went on to, play for City again. So um, Gandozi is very wrong in not apologizing so far, but I think the management, as the way it's doing at the moment, is very right to completely ignore him for the rest of the time until he comes back, and then he actually gets to work on his attitude more than his footballing. Yeah.
Okay. So let's just rush through the rest of the midfielders. Elneny, yes or no?
No, probably sell him. You could get a decent price in Turkey, I believe. Find someone there. It's still probably less than a month left. Almost 20 to 25 days for the transfer window to close. So I definitely feel something would happen around him. Yeah,
Okay.
at least a loan. Yeah.
Okay. So we have Xhaka, Ceballos, who's going to be the starter. Is that what you guys are seeing? And Saka. So those are the three names that I can see that's kind of at least making sense to be on the pitch or on the bench. And there's Joe Willock, who is our most appearances from last year. Anyone else do you see there, like coming in or like going out from those things? Like, do you see Joe Willock going out on loan, or do you see like Saka nailing down a spot? Because right now he's kind of a floater. We don't know what his position is. He's kind of like the ox of Wenger era, right? You don't know where to put him, but he plays well whenever he gets a chance. Do we put him on the wings? Do you put him on the left wing back position? Do we play him on the midfield? So that's another question, kind of. So
Okay.
With respect
Like
to
with
the
respect to,
youngsters, right?
go ahead, go ahead,
Sorry,
Bob.
sorry. I'll just quickly touch that. So with respect to the youngsters, Nelson, Nketiah, Saka, or Willock, I expect all of them to stay behind, and I don't think any of them would be loaned out, considering the fact that they've got a lot of European games to prove their peril. So they would be hanging around with the squad, and then they would be probably getting more chances in the European, and then at least in the cup games in the beginning of the season, or possibly in the games. Some of the games in Premier League, to play in as a substitute, or to have an impact in the game. That's what I feel about all those four youngsters there. Ellen, sorry, what were you about to
Yeah,
suggest?
I was also going to say the same almost, because if you take out of these four people, right, the person with most impact was Saka. But Saka cannot start for us because Auba is on the left wing. Like, how can Saka replace a goal scorer like him? So he has to be on the bench, unfortunately. And you cannot make him play continuously in a left back when we have Tierney there too. So it is going to be like a bench season only for them, and they will be playing mostly the cup matches. And as rightly Bob said, like as a substitute to change the game at the later stage, like that is where they feel more. So out of these youngsters, who will get maximum chances might be like Joe Willock, because like he has less competition in this place, Whereas Reece Nelson or like Saka, they have more competition. It will be very difficult for them. Maybe Eddie Nketiah, if we are selling Lacazette, or like if you want to rotate Lacazette and keep Lacazette fresh for the big games. There's too many games happening in between. So Eddie Nketiah might get more games, but all four will definitely stay back. What about Emily Smith Rowe? Like, is he going on loan? Like, we didn't talk about him because he's a creative midfielder.
Emil Smith Rowe for now is not going on the loan, and he looks like an exciting prospect, but I don't see him in and around the Premier League first team. I see him around like cup games. I see him like if we get someone injured for a long time, like someone from Willian or Ozil or like someone who would be the attacking front gets injured, then we could see Emil Smith on the bench. But I don't see him being a starter. There are like a lot of praise on him, like a lot of media, a lot of people have said like all good things about him, but I don't I don't see him like in and around the Premier League first team for now because we got like a lot of big players in the forward line and like, ahead of him, and I don't see him anywhere near there for the Premier League at least. Um, Moving on to the centre back and the full back, the defenders, which is a lot. We've got a lot of defenders right there. I wouldn't say quality, but yeah, quantity wise, we have got like when we go for centre backs, we have got William Saliba, we have got Socrates, we have got Gabriel, Rob Holding, Mustafi, Pablo Mari, David Luiz. So that's seven.
Chambers,
Uh,
Colin Chambers.
Oh, Chambers, yeah. Chambers, do we put him as centre back or do we put him as like a midfielder? I don't know, but like, yeah, we've got 8 central defenders right there. And there have been talks about like Socrates maybe going out, so that will leave us with 7. And if we kind of push, say, Callum Chambers out or something, then that will be 6. Still, that's a lot of defenders for a team, and that's not all of them. Like we don't have like a youngster who's breaking through, not like that. I mean, William Saliba is an youngster, but we do see him as like as a starter. We have given him the number 4, which means that he's getting a lot more traction that we would give an youngster. So so where do you see this season? Who are the people that you see being heavily, involved in the season? Mustafi again?
I would have laughed off at myself if I had said this 6 months back. But yeah, Mustafi is is become a very good player than what he has done in the past. So and David Luiz is as well going to be sticking around. So they are the sort of the experienced defenders for this team. Considering that Socrates probably would be moving very soon. I think the deal with Napoli is almost close, that he would be leaving out pretty quickly. The players that we would have for us to the season would be, of course, Saliba, Gabriel, David Luiz, Mustafi, probably Rob Holding. I have a hint that maybe his loan has been deliberately put on hold to make sure that he's kept here as an enough cover in the defense department. Yeah, Callum Chambers might likely get sold. Yeah, and we also have Pablo Mari to cover in the left side of the center half. With them there, so I expect Callum Chambers and Socrates to be leaving the team. With Holding, probably it's a 50-50, so I think there's every chance that he might stay, and as well there's every chance that he might be let out on loan. I don't think we would be selling him as such, but yeah, with with us selling EOB last year, if at all we get some good amount from from any team, in the last hours of the transfer window, maybe he might actually still get sold. So we don't know. Yeah.
But do you think, like Ellen, do you think selling Rob Holding is a good thing if we get a deal, or sending out him on loan is a good thing? Because for me, he had a pretty good game with Mertesacker, if I remember, like the last FA Cup that we won. I mean, not this one, the one before that, which was like on a back four. He played absolutely brilliant right there, and he's also like really good at doing what he's asked to do. Like if you ask him to mark someone out of the game one-on-one, he's a really good defender. I don't think we have that with any of our other defenders. And also like uh, with Gabriel, he seems to have the language problem. In the videos that we saw earlier, he doesn't speak English yet. So so I don't see him like stepping in right now, because we have like we have our goalkeepers who speaks English. I don't know if either of them speaks French or Portuguese. Maybe Martinez might, because he's Argentinian, maybe a little bit. But apart from that, I don't see any of them speaking, and I don't see Tierney doing it, or Maitland-Niles doing it, or Hector Bellerin, Suarez. I don't see them like having that language connect with Gabriel right now. And the same with our midfielders. So there might be a chance of like, a risk playing Gabriel right there without David Luiz, who can kind of be the link between Gabriel and the other players, which is still not a right thing to do on the pitch. So do you see Rob Holding nailing that spot right there, because Gabriel is not well versed in the language
Okay.
side of it?
Yeah, one thing here is like we would have definitely like loaned out Rob Holding. We wouldn't have sold him because Rob Holding, right, with all the characteristics you have said, he also has leadership characteristics, which is needed like for a defender. Like so, we'll definitely like keep hold of him. We would have definitely like loaned out him if not for the injury to like Luis at the last moment. See, Mustafi, we know he's coming back by October, but now this Louis is also out close to October now. Like he's out for 4 weeks, and like it might take 1 or 2 more weeks for him to be normal again. So it is like same time where Mustafi and Louis is going to join the team back. So until that, right, like you said, like all the three, Gabriel, Saliba, or like Pablo Mari, even like if he's fit, like I think he's fit after 2 or 3 weeks. So even if they are, like they will not be able to like hold the line and like do day in, day out right from the day one. Like so, they need somebody else to support them. And with Chambers, I think is also injured and like he won't be available to even if he wants. So and Socrates will definitely be sold. We only have Rob Holding, and that's why we stopped this loan deal. But saying that, Rob Holding is still not the same level where he was 2 years before. When he got the ACL, right, before that he was like really like a beast. After ACL, right, like he was still not good. Like I would say, like when he came back, he was really bad. That is why he's lost his starting lineup position. But he has improved a lot. 1 year of loan would have definitely like improved him. And don't forget, he came from Bolton Wanderers, where like you get like good technical knowledge. So he has learned everything. So we'll definitely need him. But because of the circumstances, we will be retaining him. We won't be loaning out or selling him. And there are very high chances like he can hold that spot. If you're going to play a back three, right, like definitely Holding will be holding that spot. But if it is going to be a back two, there are chances he might or there might not be, because Arteta prefers a left-footed CB and a right-footed CB. So the competition is even more. So there is a chance he might miss out. But if it's going to be a three-man CB pairing, right, he will definitely be one of the guys this year.
Okay, that's good. So one of the deals that I didn't like that happened was Cedric Soares. I think like we signed him for a 3-4 year deal. Yes. But that is now, I mean, I'm not saying he's a bad player, but I don't think he's the one to push us to the next level. But we do have him, and there has been talks about like Bellerin leaving. And if that is the case, if Bellerin leaves, do you see Cedric being our number one in the right back position, or do you see Maitland-Niles stepping in as a right back? Because right now Maitland-Niles have played centrally, like he has played on both sides, like he has played on left back, he's played on like right back, he's played all over the place. So if Bellerin leaves, or do you see Bellerin leaving, or do you want Bellerin to leave? Bob, that's at you.
I think with Bear situation, it's pretty unique because I think the club sees him as a player with a lot of value in terms of the transfer market. So if at all they get some good amount in terms of 40 million or something like that, there is every chance that he might be sold, and there is every chance that we are not going to be replacing him with anyone else. So the idea would be that Maitland-Niles would be promoted as a first choice right wing back or right back, with Suarez giving him cover over that area there, and we can possibly even have Rob Holding come in to hold that place. If at all, if there's any injury to Suarez or to Maitland-Niles in that place. So there is every chance Berin might actually get sold if at all they get the right price for him. But having said that, the player was wanted by PSG more than anyone, and they have just today, I think they have actually signed.
What another person?
Yeah, so from Roma, which will make it more unrealistic for them to sign Bellerin along, and there is no one else, none of those big clubs left, who could actually play a decent sum. There are not much big clubs left who are needing a right back asset. So it possibly could not happen this season, but it's something which we have to brace ourselves for. Yeah.
Okay. Talking about the other side, Kolasinac seems to be out of the door right now, and I really love Kieran Tierney. He's been amazing, and I see him like as a future Arsenal captain. Like the way he conducts himself, the way he is so professional. I wish we could sign more of him, and for all other positions. Like if we can get a Kieran Tierney for like midfield, I will sign him right now. So what do you see on the left side, Ellen? Do you see anyone challenging Tierney for that spot, or do you see as like, no, that's good enough for us, and we could play Saka there. That's enough. Is that what you think would be the mindset?
Yes, sir, definitely. Like Tierney, he will be the preferred left back for us. But only one thing which I have a doubt here is once we sell Kolasinac, right? Like we should promote somebody from the academy as our backup left back. Even though in Premier League Zaka can play that position, we have too many cup games and other games. Like we cannot play Zaka as left back for all those games. So we have to make another person to step up in the cup games and other things from the academy. But for Premier League purpose, it should be like Tierney and Saka as backup. That is the way we should proceed. I perfectly agree on that. Just like a fun fact, to be honest, with respect to Tierney, I used to play a lot of fantasy leagues, where we used to play draft. When the draft, right, if you take one player, you cannot take that. Anybody else cannot take that player again. In the past, whenever I've seen, right, Arsenal defenders will be the last pick when they want some short starters, or they won't get picked at all. But this year, right, I see Tierney at the very beginning, like he's like somebody like a top 50, 60 pick, which is very, very rare for an Arsenal defender in my last 5-6 years of experience in drafts. So that shows his value. Even the other fans value him that much, right?
Yeah, he's like one of those players whom you could rally around with, like the whole team could rally around. a really strong personality, really meticulous sense of person. Like you could feel him fit in with the old Invincibles, or like with the Tony Adams team. Like you could see him fitting in with them. Yeah, he's a really good signing that we have made in recent times. So let's quickly jump on to the first match that we have against Fulham for this week. So quickly, do you see us, like, give us the formation and the players that you expect to play that game with right now, like David Luiz injured and like all these things. So what's your formation and starting 11 with, yeah.
Ellen, do you want to go
Or like,
first?
yeah, I'll
Yeah,
go
Ellen,
first.
it was at Ellen.
Yeah, okay. It will be 3-4-3, and like I expect Martinez to be our goalie. Back three will be like Holding, Saliba, and Gabriel, like because of the injuries and other reasons. And I saw Gabriel training with the team, so that means like there's no quarantine anymore. So it will be those three. And in wing backs, like we'll have Tierney and Bellerin. And the middle, it will be Xhaka and Ceballos. And the front three will be like Auba, Nikitia, and William.
That's interesting. Bob?
I have a slightly different take to the starting lineup there. So I put Leno on goal. The back three, in my opinion, would be Holding, Saliba, and then since that David Luiz is actually injured, I don't think I don't just think that. I don't just think probably um, Gabriel will be starting his place there. I probably think it would be Chambers coming in, since that he has actually been performing well the last time that he was playing for Fulham. Wing backs obviously with Tierney and Bellerin, and then I would go for Xhaka and then the Ceballos midfield, with the front three being Pepe, Lacazette, and Aubameyang, with Villan possibly coming in as a sub.
Okay, that makes sense. I think for me it'll be again. I think we'll have Martinez in goal, because I think we are still pushing for him to sign an extension or like sign a contract. So we will push him to goal is what I feel. The back three, I think it'll be like Rob Holding in the middle with Saliba and Tierney playing as the other centre back, and Maitland-Niles stepping in as the wing back, and Bellerin the other side, like right wing back, and Xhaka and Ceballos, or maybe I'm not sure we will start with Ceballos uh, because he has just come back from Real Madrid. I see that he has been like training and all, but I still feel that we might go for a Xhaka and El Neni midfield.
El Neni, possible.
El Neni midfield, and with the front three of uh, Pepe, Auba, and I wish to say Lacazette, but I'm confused right there. Like I'm not sure if Lacazette or Eddie would get the go ahead, because Eddie had scored like crazy in the under 21s, like a hat trick and a double. So maybe he's considered like he's considered fatigue or something, and Lacazette starts, but that's another, like that's another place where I see there's going to be a unpredictability right there with either Laka or Eddie. But yeah, I also see Ozil on the bench. Do you guys see Ozil on the bench for Fulham?
Possibly.
Possible.
Yeah, he played against Aston Villa there in the preseason game, so there is every chance for him to get involved. Yeah.
Okay. We'll probably end the pod with a prediction for the Fulham game. Like, what do you guys predict as a scoreline? Bob, I'll have you take first.
I'll go for a 3-1 victory there. We'd be very dominant, I believe. Fulham are trying to put together a team just like how they did when they came to the Premier League last time around. But I still feel we are too strong for them. So it's an advantage there that we're playing at the cottage without any fans there. So it could definitely turn into our advantage. I feel we will definitely score 3 goals at least. And then there is obviously a possibility that we might concede one, which is why I'm going for a 3-1 scoreline.
Ellen, what's your take?
Like, you made Bob to speak first. I was actually predicting 3-1 myself too, with a goal from Fulham coming from Mitrovic. Like he is a good Premier League proven goal scorer, and he'll definitely score against us. So it will be like 3-1 with maybe goals shared between ourselves. One of the goals might be from a defender in a set piece, and one from Auba and one from Nikitia.
Okay, that's a bold prediction. So I am going for an Arsenal win too, but I'm not going to go for a 3-1. I'm thinking that it's going to be a 2-0. I don't see us conceding because for me, I think there is only one. Fulham doesn't have a lot of attacking options. They have a very restrictive one, and Arteta has been really good at like restricting the attackers from scoring. If you consider like Mahrez, if he has put Mane on on pockets of players. So I feel we'll get a 2-0 win, clean sheet to start with, maybe. Yeah, that is my prediction. I'm not going to predict who's going to score because I never get that right. I could go for Aubameyang and then I would jinx that completely. So I don't want that to happen. Yeah, it's been a nice an hour or so of catching up with you guys. It's a really good way to do it. Hope it's a winning start for the Arsenal. Thank you both for joining in, and yeah, thanks. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. Cheerio.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Vikas. Bye. See you next week.
That's the end of the pod. For more Arsenal content, please like, subscribe, and share it with all your friends. This is the Be a Way Cooners Pod. See you next week.